Did I smell very slow?
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, how are you? You're all very welcome here to this very special day today as we unveil the Commemorative Garden. Great to see such a crowd here, brilliant turnout after all the hard work that was put in by all our local employment scheme and our environmental group and Tidy Towns Committee. We also have a couple of very special guests with us here this afternoon. Mr. Paddy Scully, originally from Stony Batter. Paddy's grandfather, Michael Scully, fought with the Volunteers 1st Battalion C Company at the Four Courts. So you're very welcome, Paddy. We also have another... We also have Aina the Burkhead here. You're very welcome, Aina. Aina's going to say a few words later on and address everyone here, so we'll hear a bit from Aina later on. You're very welcome. I'd also just like to acknowledge that this site that you're standing at here today was suggested as a possible site for the Commemorative Garden by the late Cathy Daniels, and I think a great site it was too. And you probably noticed here at the back on the old road a couple of cars and a motorcycle. We'd like to welcome Percy Foster, who has a Hummer there. And that style of car was on sale actually in O'Grady's down the town years ago, which is now the Sleehey Moor. We also have Mickey Harris. Mickey's uncle Tom, along with 14 men, walked from Maynooth to the GPO in 1916. Mickey's car is there as well. And also Martin Rowley, who has a Triumph 500, a motorcycle from the time period. I think they're all 151s, but I think it's 19 151s there. Also, do you see the big oak tree here in the centre of the garden? It was incorporated in the garden. We believe that there's a barn owl living in the big oak tree, so the barn owl is very welcome here today. And this garden would not have been here today without the work of the community scheme, as I said earlier on, namely John McLaughlin, Peter Clancy, Martin Meskel, Liam Bowe, Martin Maloney and Jan Horgan. And another big round of applause for the designer of our garden here, Mr. Brendan Donoghue. And as you will see later on as the opening ceremony continues, everything here in this garden represents something. It all has its own very special importance. So we'll go through all that later on. So to officially start our ceremony, I am going to invite Martin Meskel and Brendan O'Donoghue to raise the flag to full mast. And just to acknowledge our guard of honour at the flagpole, they're from local schools. And now, in memory of all those who have died in the rising, they will lower the flag to half. I now invite Michael Foley and Jack Flynn and Jerry Flynn to come up here on stage as we start to unveil our garden.
Shasan mion feast, Shasana shak look to look Sheenaha, Ogra and Akaska. The 7 stones represent the 7 signatories of the proclamation.
And now we invite Peter Clancy to unveil the 7 stones.
These 7 stones signify the 7 signatories to the proclamation, and they're in order of when they were signed, starting with Thomas Clark and ending with Joseph Plunkett. And the 7 stones will lead into the centrepiece.
Savlín míle nígéid sé déag ba hir fear bocht I era agus spector sin ag gaidan ufasach na glub. In 1916, Ireland was a very poor, suppressed country, hence the poorly engraved stone.
This alludes to the first stone here, which is broken, indicating a shattered and broken country.
Shasan mion fisi de Vricky, Clucka, Mutal agus Ordinas, mar chorhad an Iriamach. The pieces of brick, stone, metal and ordnance represent the debris of the aftermath of the Rising.
Mark Daly, Sylvia Suhan, Brian Donoghue will unveil the centre hub.
This centre hub is a very significant piece. On the outside is Donegal quartz, so good Irish native stone. And then as you go into the centre, there's pieces of debris, piece of steel, there's shell cases, all alluding to the rubble of the 1916 Rising. One of the bricks has Dolphin Barn written on it, where most of the city, where the action took place, and another brick has London Brick on it, to show of the encompassing nature of the battle between Irish and English forces. There's some other nice pieces in there. There's a piece of steel from the forge, from Suhan's forge. It was the first piece of steel, I think, ever fashioned there, and it's over 100 years old. But it's very interesting to see the significance. Also, if you look at the stones, they're the inside stones. They allude to the flames of the Rising. And in the centre then is a U.
Shasan an Cran Orga don Náisiún na Dairagón Swingar míle nígéid séideag. The golden U represents the nation which grew from the debris of the rebellion of 1916. The golden stones are a reminder of the fires of Easter week. Curran na Clucka Orga Tinta Shachtin na Casca Igwiv na Dún. Curran an Cooler an sé Yina Yeg a Curu con Boss Igwiv na Dún. The backdrop of the 16 Irish U are in memory of the 16 men executed for their part in the Rising. Shasan and Crus Nodruk the Gopdina a Kailus and Iriamach. The neutral cross is in memory of all the people who died as a result of the Rising. So we have invited 4 children from each of the 4 primary schools in the area to lay daffodils at the base of the 16 Irish yew trees, and each tree representing one of the men who were executed following the 1916 Rising. So I will call out the name of the man executed, the date on which he was executed, the location, and then the name of the child who will place the flowers at the foot of the tree. From St Mary's Primary School in Enfield, P.H. Pearce, the 3rd of May 1916, Kilmainham Jail, Karen Gill. Thomas Clark, the 3rd of May 1916, Kilmainham Jail, James McNeil. Thomas MacDonagh, the 3rd of May 1916, Kilmainham Jail, Michaela Mooney. Edward Daly, the 4th of May 1916, Kilmainham Jail, Cathal Heffernan. And from Johnstown Bridge, National School, the next 4 children will place the flowers at the base of the trees. Michael O'Hanrahan, the 4th of May 1916, Kilmainham Jail, Ciara Connaughton. Joseph Plunkett, the 4th of May 1916, Kilmainham Jail, Conor Gallagher. William Pearce, the 4th of May 1916, Kilmainham Jail, Pádraig Bennett. John McBride, the 5th of May 1916, Kilmainham Jail, Rachel Kelly. And representing Kill National School. Eamon Cant, the 8th of May 1916, Kilmainham Jail, Tommy Sheridan. Sean Houston, the 8th of May 1916, Kilmainham Jail, Kayla Coyle. Michael Mallon, the 8th of May 1916, Kilmainham Jail, Ella Coyle. Con Colbert, the 8th of May 1916, Kilmainham Jail, Abby Ganley. And representing Baconstown National School. Thomas Kent, the 9th of May 1916, Military Barracks Cork, Rory Fagan. James Connolly, the 12th of May 1916, Kilmainham Jail, Emily Healy. Sean McDermott, the 12th of May 1916, Kilmainham Jail, Megan Lynham. Roger Casement, the 3rd of August 1916, Pentonville Jail, UK, Jack Hanley.
Shasan and Crus Nodruk, the Gok Dinna a Kailus and Irie Mock.
Just as we're all looking there at the centerpiece again, the tree, there is a golden yew. Now, on the outside of the 16 Irish yew, but this is a different one, and this is the golden yew, with the golden flint stone around it. As we said, it's a centerpiece, the flint to symbolise the flames, and the yew is to show a new emerging Ireland. So when you have the stepping stones coming at the centerpiece, the yew is the new invigorated Ireland.
Shasan and Crus Nodruk, the Gok Dinna a Kailus and Irie Mock. The neutral cross is in memory of all the people who died as a result of the rising.
We now have John McLaughlin, who is going to unveil the neutral cross. And the neutral cross has particular poignance. It is, of course, the cross to symbolise the people that died. It's made from Kilkenny limestone, so it's a native Irish stone. And the reason it's neutral, and as some people call it an air cross, it alludes to, irrespective of creed, colour or race, we all breathe the same air.
Léirín an Cluck ever, a bhfuil 2016 granta urthaí, náisiún náusblach I éire 26 agus áiteachí ar an státe domhanda.
The granite stone with 2016 engraved represents modern Ireland as an independent nation which plays its part on the world stage.
We now invite Claire Butler to unveil the stone. The significance of this stone is it's made from Wicklow granite, and as opposed to the earlier stone with 1916 written on it, which is cracked and broken and downtrodden, this stone, the 2016, is a representation of the modern Irish state that the people in 1916 fought to create. And as you can see, it's sturdy, strong stone, and it's upright.
We now invite Éanna de Burca, Johnny Prendergast and John Daniels to unveil the information sign.
This information sign, of course, has the proclamation as a centrepiece in it, and is surrounded by the photographs of the 16 patriots that died, 7 signatories, of course, and the remaining ones. The proclamation list is also written in both English and Irish.
And now we're moving on to the formal opening of the garden. We'll invite Phyllis Suhan, Martin Mesco and Brian O'Donoghue to cut the ribbon.
Good scissors.
So now our garden is officially open. Well done to you. So now our next item, we invite Sil Murphy to come on stage and read the proclamation.
Public Nahairn, the Provisional Government of the Irish Republic. To the people of Ireland. Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generations from which she receives her old tradition of nationhood, Ireland, through us, summons her children to her flag and strikes for her freedom. Having organised and trained her manhood through her secret revolutionary organisation, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and through her open military organisations, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army. Having patiently perfected her discipline, having resolutely waited for the right moment to reveal itself, she now seizes that moment. And supported by her exiled children in America and by gallant allies in Europe, but relying in the first on her own strength, she strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies to be sovereign and indefeasible. The long usurpation of that right by a foreign people and government has not extinguished the right, nor could it ever be extinguished except by the destruction of the Irish people. In every generation, the Irish people have asserted their right to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the past 300 years, they have asserted it in arms. Standing on that fundamental right, and again asserting it in arms in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign, independent state. And we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to the cause of its freedom, of its welfare, and of its exaltation among the nations. The Irish Republic is entitled to and hereby claims the allegiance of every Irish man and every Irish woman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation, of all its parts, cherishing all the children of the nation equally, and oblivious of the differences carefully fostered by an alien government which have divided the minority from the majority in the past. Until our arms have brought the opportune moment for the establishment of a permanent national government, representative of the whole people of Ireland, and elected by the suffrages of all her men and women. The provisional government hereby constituted will administer the civil and military affairs of the Republic in trust for the people. We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessing we invoke upon our arms, and we pray that no one who serves that cause will dishonour it by cowardice, inhumanity or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valour and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas J. Clark, Sean McDermott, Thomas McDonough, P. H. Pearce, Eamon Cant, James Connolly, Joseph Plunkett.
Thank you, Sir. I'll now invite Father Michael to come up and say a few words.
So just on behalf of all our communities, just to congratulate all involved in the creation and the design of this beautiful garden, which is a great testimony to community work and united community spirits. So let us gather today, dear friends, and pray, and let us commemorate today one of the most significant periods in the history of our land. 100 years ago, events occurred which have shaped our nation today, and now 100 years from that time, we gather to remember especially all those whose lives were lost in that tumultuous era. We gather today as brothers and sisters in Christ. We gather as seekers of peace and keepers of peace. We gather mindful of a journey in healing, inclusion and peacemaking that still continues. And we dedicate our prayer today for the repose of the souls of all those whose lives were cut short on account of strife in those days. Today we look to the love of God, which looks upon us and all peoples with fairness, justice and compassion. Remembrance. We remember them today, the men, the women, the children who were injured or who died in or as a result of the Easter Rising of 1916. We remember today the living sacrifice. We remember the lost descendants. We remember the courage, and we pray, eternal rest grant to them, O Lord, and may perpetual light shine upon them. May they rest in peace. Amen. And as a sign of our commitment today to work for the future of our country, for the unity of our country, for the prosperity of our country, for the peace of our country, for the building up of community goodwill and community spirit, Father Timothy now will lead us in the prayer of Francis of Assisi, asking that each of us will continue to be makers of peace and goodwill towards all.
Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life.
And as a sign of our commitment to work for unity and peace and for each other, we'll offer each other now that sign of peace.
Sorry.
Thanks, Father Michael, Father Tui. Thank you.
Okay, first and foremost, I have to explain the very dapper appearance today. As you know, some of us have come in period dress, and as the singers of the day, such as John McCormack, famously played by Frank Patterson in the film Michael Collins, would wear something like this. Now, John McCormack and myself have one thing in common anyway, we're probably similar size, although I don't have his wavy hair. The waves are gone, but the beach remains. Anyway, the other reason actually I came in this outfit is because there's another interesting story as to how people turned up on that day in 1916. Was Major John McBride of Mayo, who was a leading nationalist and probably the most accomplished military commander of the entire group, as he'd seen a lot of action with the Irish Brigade. He was kind of sidelined coming up to the revolution, but he was going to a wedding preparation, and he was in a very dapper suit with a cane and a cigar when he met Thomas MacDonagh, and he immediately made him his second in command. So he actually fought the whole rising in in a dress suit. So, okay, I'm going to start off with this song. There's a very interesting, poignant story to the song. The song is Grace. It was made famous in the 1980s by Jim McCann, and it celebrates, or commemorates, should I say, the wedding between Grace Gifford and Joseph Mary Plunkett. Now, Grace Gifford was one of 12. They were the Gifford family. They were a Church of Ireland family, and they were imbued, like many of the Church of Ireland people from the 1790s, in the great tradition of Tone, Davis, Emmet, and the nationalist cause. And Grace and her sister Muriel both married signatories. Muriel married Thomas MacDonagh in 1912, and they had a couple of children. And Grace was engaged to Joseph Mary Plunkett when the Rising occurred. He was sentenced to death, as we know, in the aftermath of the Rising. She found a priest on the 3rd of May, and with herself and the priest went down, and they begged the authorities in Kilmainham jail to let them marry. 5 hours later, they agreed, and Joseph Mary Plunkett and Grace were married just before midnight on the 3rd of May 1916, just a few hours before his execution. So I suppose it's poignant to think, before we sing the song, about the reason for it. And just to say as well, Grace Gifford lived to the 1950s in kind of poverty. She took a long time to get her pension, so she lived to the 1950s. She never remarried, and her sister Muriel sadly died only a year later, within a year of losing her husband. So not only did we have these victims, but there were other victims too. And I suppose at this time, before I start the song, we can think of all the people that died so the Republic could live. As we gathered in the chapel here in old Kilmainham jail, I think upon the last few weeks, or will they say we failed? From our school days we were told that we must yearn for liberty, but in this place all I want is to see you here with me. Oh Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They take me out at dawn and I must die. With all my love I place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Now I know it's hard for you, my love, to ever understand the love I have for these brave men, the love for my dear land. But when Porrick called me by his side down in the GPO, I had to leave my own sick bed. To him I had to go. Oh Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They take me out at dawn and I must die. With all my love I place this wedding ring upon your finger. We won't have time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Now as the dawn is breaking, my heart is breaking too. On this May morn, as I walk out, my thoughts will be of you. And I'll write some words upon the wall, so everyone will know that I had loved because I'd see his blood upon the rose. Oh Grace, just hold me in your arms and let the moment linger. They take me out at dawn and I must die. With all my love I place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye.
Will you please welcome on stage Éanna de Burca, whose father was involved in 1916.
Barry Arif, more than office at all, and you Vehilahar, and Oakhead, Starul Shaw. I was Tom Fear Weight, done as a coaster, as often could a Togodom Vehan Shaw, Veparchuk, San Comoro Shaw. Agus a dish to agam to large fee, Google Footlear, Fee Mahar, Agus a Drifor, Agus a Nage, a Rinather, Kid Blina Hill and AJ Shajiak. I often wondered what thoughts were going through my father's mind on that morning of the 24th of April 1916 as he set off to establish an independent Irish Republic. And the independent Irish Republic, there must be magical words to him at that time. I wonder were they thinking of at that time that we would be, in 100 years, be celebrating or unveiling a monument here today? I wonder. I don't think so. And his sister Aoife, who she was probably she thinking about too, as she set off from Malahide, where she was nursing a retired army colonel. I wonder what army. I wonder. Both minds were focused, of course, on the task ahead of them. Wonder, did they visualise what the outcome was going to be, or even think of it, for that matter? I doubt it. I think of my father leaving Scoilina or St Enda's that morning, going down to Rathfarnham to meet the 36 other comrades of his from the Rathfarnham Brigade, and then going through the village of Rathfarnham to get the tram into the city to challenge the might of the British Empire. He often wondered afterwards that he couldn't remember whether he paid the fare or not. And Aoife then, on the other hand, she was coming from Malahide and she did it in style. She got a taxi and I presume she did pay the fare. And then at the end of the week, Aoife herself, having escorted the wounded and other nurses down to Jervis Street Hospital, she was left to find her own way home. With British barricades all over the place, she had difficulty getting out, but eventually she got, with the assistance of a British Army officer, she was escorted out through the barricades to the Drumcondra Road. And little did he realise, of course, that it was from the GPO she had come. And Frank, her brother, my father, he also, with the assistance of the British Army, was transported across the Irish Sea in a cattle boat. Because of the possibility of tornadoes coming from the Germans, the officers of the guards were all provided with life belts, but not so the prisoners. They were expendable. Then on the first letter home from Stafford Jail, Frank apologises to his mother for not being home for Easter holidays, and he says that he had a pressing invitation from His Majesty to be a guest of his for a few months, so he couldn't refuse that. And then while he was in Stafford Jail, he met my mother for the first time, so it can be said that His Majesty arranged the introduction. She actually was one of a group of 7 teachers in Birmingham who decided with the Irish prisoners just up the road in Stafford Jail that they should visit them and give them some moral support which they needed to boost their morale. So that's how they went there. They were released then on the 23rd of December and came back to Dublin overnight, arriving on the 24th of December. And he had a very good breakfast in Moran's Hotel in Gardiner Street. It was the first decent breakfast he had for a long time. And then they parted company, and he set off to go to his sister's house in Drumcondra. And so he got up and got the tram from Gardiner Street out to Drumcondra. And you can imagine his surprise, you can imagine the commotion when he discovered sitting on the tram was his sister. She didn't know he had been released. So much of the amazement of the other passengers, this coming together again. And then on that afternoon, he, having sent a telegram home to say that he's getting the train to Enfield, and they came down to Enfield. His brother Jack had come up from Carbery to meet them with a pony and trap. And of course the train was the Galway train with a lot of the Galway prisoners. And they were all celebrating their release and had a great sing-song on the train coming down. And when they got to Enfield, there was the parting for Frank leaving the Galway people. And the train was delayed quite a long time. Jack was outside wondering what the commotion was, so he went in to see. He found he knew some of the Galway people himself, and that delayed the train further. And then when they came out, the pony, which had been recently purchased from Kilcock's side of Enfield, got fed up of waiting and decided to go home. Home to Kilcock. So they were left there, but somebody provided a transport car to bring them home to Coonall. You can imagine that at that time there was no rural electrification, no street lighting, and it was dark in the evening, Christmas Eve. And coming up the road here, all the houses around, that beautiful custom we have in Ireland of lighting a candle in the window on Christmas Eve in memory of the first Christmas Eve when there was no room in the inn. And all the houses from here to Carbery had the candle lit in the window. It must have been a beautiful sight. But when they got to home, his father had a candle lit in each of the 9 windows in the front of the house as a welcome home. It must have been, it was a wonderful return. I could, of course, because these are little snippets from his memoirs, and I could go on quite a long time, but time is of the essence. So I'm very grateful for having this opportunity to pay tribute to him and to his sister and to all the others from around the locality and elsewhere for what they have done and fought for our freedom over 100 years ago. Garamila Mahaga Kildare is Gomoni Deshif Rig.
So next up we have another song for you. We have Judy Beattie going to sing, and Judy is going to sing The Old Bog Road. For any of you who are not from Enfield or the surrounding areas, you might not know that the Old Bog Road is actually only a couple of kilometres out the road on the Kilcock side in Kilbrook. And there was a song or a poem that was later put to a song written by Teresa Brayton. And Teresa Brayton was a school monitor in Newtown School, Mickey Harris told me, who later went over to America, but always kept in touch with everything that was going on in Ireland and sent funds home during the Rising. So we'll invite Judy up, and Judy is a former resident of the Old Bog Road, and she actually tells me that her grandmother went to school with Teresa Brayton herself.
My feet are here on Broadway, this blessed harvest morn. But oh, the ache that's in them for the sod where I was born. My weary hands are blistered from working cold and heat, and 'tis oh to swing aside today through fields of Irish wheat. Had I the chance to wander back our own king's abode, 'tis soon I'd see the hawthorn tree by the old bog road. My mother died last springtime when Ireland's fields were green. The neighbours said her waking was the finest ever seen. There were snowdrops and primroses piled high around her bed, and Farron's church was crowded when her funeral mass was said. But here was I on Broadway with building bricks for load, when they carried out her coffin from the old bog road. Och, life's a weary puzzle, past finding out by man. I take the day for what it's worth, and I do the best I can. Since no one cares or rush for me, what need I make a moan? I draw my pay and go my way and smoke my pipe alone. Each human heart must know its grief, though bitter be the load. So God be with old Ireland and the old bog road. So God be with old Ireland and the old bog road. Thank you.
So next, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome, we have some local representatives here from the council. We have Enda Flynn and Rona McKenna, and I think Enda is going to come up and just say a few words.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, invited guests, members of our local community, our neighbours from Johnstown Bridge and surrounding areas, public representatives. We have Councillor Rona McKenna here and Councillor Joe Fox is in our presence as well. Others may join us later. And representing Meath County Council, we have the Director of Services, Des Foley. So thank you all for your presence here today to officially open the 1916 Commemorative Garden. The decade 2012 to 2022 is categorised as the decade of centenaries, as it marks the centenary of a number of important historical events that occurred in the period 1912 to 1922, which have influenced the lives of all the people on the island of Ireland to this day. Over these 10 years, we remember all those who made sacrifices in an effort to improve the lives of others. I believe that the most significant of these events was the 1916 Rising. Our focus here today is on the 16 men who were executed and the words of 7 of those who wrote the proclamation. It is an inclusive event because 1916 is for everybody. This reflects the fact that those executed, and in particular those who wrote the proclamation, came from a variety of backgrounds and represented different groups in society at that time.
We have heard the proclamation read here today, and the values and the vision expressed can still inspire us to do the work that can help our community. There are many people here who have made contributions to developing our community over the years. I just want to focus on the garden in particular. I want to thank all those people listed here who have contributed their time, work and effort, or even finance to help us out. So the list here of all those who have contributed in some way to create this garden. I want to thank the Enfield Tidy Towns and Environment Group and the Community Employment Scheme Initiative, who spent so many hours working on this project. I think they all deserve a round of applause. I know some names have been mentioned earlier, and I'm not going to go through a long list of names, but there are a few people who I think I would like to give a special mention to, if you can indulge me. First of all, Brendan O'Donoghue, who guided us through the creation of the garden and also to the ceremony today. So a big thank you to Brendan. Secondly, I want to thank Brian O'Donoghue and his wife Anne. Brian maybe steals the limelight even though he doesn't like to, but we all know Brian. But I know that behind Brian is Anne, and they have done so much, not just for today, but for many, many years. Just before we give him a round of applause, I want to tell you about Brian's stamina. When I was about 5, Brian started cutting my hair, and he was the same age then as he is today. Certainly in my eyes. So that gives you an idea of his stamina, and over those years he's given so much to Enfield. So a big clap for Brian and for Anne. Another member of our local community who, like Brian, has shown great stamina and fortitude and has helped us all so much and improved the village of Enfield and helped to create it what it is today, and I hope he continues to do much for the years to come, and that's John Daniel. I want to acknowledge the work done by the officials in Meath County Council right throughout the county for the 1916 celebrations. You may have read in the paper that in each of the districts a commemorative garden was created. Now, there was only one official garden in each district, and a great job was done by Kieran Mangan in organising that. But then areas like our own created their own garden, and we have been supported in doing this by Meath County Council. So I just want to acknowledge Des Foley's presence for his contribution and the contribution to Meath County Council. This garden helps us to remember all those who made the ultimate sacrifice in 1916. It should also be the place to remember all those who contribute to the community in this area. I hope it will serve as an inspiration to members of a community of all ages to volunteer and improve the lives of everyone in the future also. At the moment, the children from our school in 3rd and 4th classes come up here each week and visit the swimming pool, and I hope that over the next few weeks that we will get all children in the school to come up to visit the garden, and that this will give some inspiration to them to contribute as other members of the community have done to date. I hope it will serve as somewhere to pause and reflect and take a little time out for ourselves as we're walking around the area as well. I hope we will all get the chance to enjoy it in the years to come. So thank you all for your presence here today.
Thank you, Enda. And now I'd like to call on John Daniel to come up and say a few words on behalf of the Environment Group and Tidy Towns Committee.
I think everything has been really said. I'll try and cover some of the things that may not have been said. But I'd like to welcome you all here. It's a great turnout today. And turnouts like this makes it worthwhile for us to try and create things like this. This wouldn't have been possible without the help of the Community Employment Scheme. Enfield Tidy Towns and the Community Employment Scheme down through the years have created great things for Enfield. Our linear canal park is one example, and we had great help from the Community Employment Scheme on that one. Again, but for their help with this project here, it wouldn't have happened. And I want to thank Jan and the lads on the scheme. They put great effort into it. I'd have to thank Brendan O'Donoghue for designing it, and having worked physically here with Brendan and all the measuring that took place, Brendan, I'd say you spent a lot of time thinking about the design of it, and God bless you. As Enda said, this feature is going to be here for years to come, and to the national school kids that were here today, I say to you young people that you will probably be here in 50 years time, and remember that we were here 50 years prior to that to honour the people that gave their lives for our freedom. It was lovely to have the various schools involved and young people involved. That is important. You will look after this memorial garden into the future. I want to thank all the participants, the readers, the speakers, the singers, the school children, for making the ceremony a success. All in all, it's emotional. I think it was a lovely ceremony. I think it went very well, and the weather held for us. I want to thank the local people, and top of the local people that live locally here, for giving permission for us to site it here. We had to approach them. I suppose we would have started work behind the scenes back in September. Physical work on this project would have started in January. The weather wasn't great, but sure, look, we kept at it, plugged at it, and we got there. I want to thank all the sponsors as well. As soon as the local people got the wind of the word, they seemed to get behind it. They seemed to wanted it to happen, and it has happened for them. When this ceremony is finished, like, the cordons are going to come down, it's going to be open for people, and the trees will grow in time. I'd like to thank our own committee, Tidy Downs Committee, Brian and that, and Brian, you'll be able to sleep tonight. I think he lost sleep. I lost it myself. There's refreshments in the Bridge House afterwards, and people are invited down there for live refreshments. Dr. Jerry Cummins will be there, the Theresa Brayton group will be there, and they'll be talking about history and back at those times. Thanks again, everybody, for coming.
Thank you, John.
Sorry, I forgot to thank Kenny, MC for the day, done a good job, and Jimmy Keogh, sound engineer.
Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the final part of our ceremony, where we will be rising the tricolour to full mast, but Jerry is just going to tell you a little bit about the significance of that.
Okay, as you see, the green, white and orange, the tricolour, and this flag was first introduced to Ireland in 1848. Thomas Francis Marr, the patriot from Waterford, went over to Paris during the year of revolutions and was presented with a tricolour made of silk. He brought it back to Ireland, first flew it at Waterford, then a few weeks later it was unveiled in Dublin. And in the unveiling of the tricolour, it's a very significant flag, I think, in many ways. The green stands for Nationalist Ireland, the orange stands for the other great tradition in the north of Ireland, and the white stands for the unity of the two traditions together. As Marr said, the two hands clasped in eternal brotherhood. The tricolour was first flown many years later, actually. It fell into disuse for many years, and then it was flown in 1916 for the first time on the GPO to the right of the Irish Republic flag. In fact, many people didn't even recognise the flag. They knew the green one, but they didn't understand the tricolour. But the tricolour, of course, has now been is now the national flag of Ireland ever since, and its significance, I think, is very important. People should reflect on it from time to time to see it as a flag of unity. We'll now raise the tricolour to full mast.
We now invite everybody to join in as we sing our national anthem.